There is a place within you that the world cannot reach unless you choose to open the door, and many of us at one point have handed over that key. We let their noise turn into our anger. We let their blindness become our burden. We carry words that were never meant to take root in us, and in doing so, we give our peace away little by little. But what if you could protect your peace no matter the storm? What if you could walk through every room, every insult, every misunderstanding, and still remain steady like a mountain, unshaken? This is not only a lesson in silence, this is a path to real power, not the power that shouts, but the kind that simply knows. Watch this until the end, and I promise you, you will no longer just react. You will rise. They step into your life carrying things they never gave a name to: shame, resentment, fear, hunger for approval, wounds left open for years. But instead of mending them, instead of healing, they project. They throw what feels too heavy for them onto whoever is close enough to catch it, and often that person is you, not because you asked for it, not because you deserve it, but simply because you are present, because you are open, because you are strong. People often throw at you only what they cannot carry themselves. When someone speaks to you with sharpness they do not need, when their words slice instead of connect, pause before you absorb it. Ask yourself, is this really about me, or is this a mirror of something unresolved inside them? It is easier to point outward than to look inward. It is easier to unload pain than to process it. So they project their bitterness in their tone, their coldness in their silence, their sarcasm in their praise. This is the language of someone weighed down by their own inner storm. You become the vessel they try to pour into, but you must learn not to absorb what was never meant to belong to you. Their anger is likely not about you. Their judgment is tied to their own insecurities. Their rejection is often a reflection of their own hidden worth. Still, if you are not mindful, you will take it as personal. You will see their wounds as your mirror. You will bend yourself trying to earn kindness from someone who hasn't even given it to themselves. You will dim your light, lower your voice, weaken your boundaries, all to avoid the stones they hurl. But those stones were never made for you. They are carrying too much, and the heavier their load, the harder they throw. Not because they despise you, sometimes quite the opposite. Sometimes they notice in you the peace they have never known, the confidence they buried, the self-love they were told they didn't deserve. And that sight disturbs them because you make it appear effortless, carrying yourself with grace, moving without apology. So they test you. They try to say things that might break your calm. They press and poke, waiting for you to lose the balance they themselves could never hold. Why? Because if they can drag you into their storm, then their chaos feels justified. If even you with all your strength can be shaken, then maybe they are not so broken after all. But you must not fall for it. Their load is not yours to carry. You did not cause it. You cannot cure it. And trying to hold it will not save them. It will only bury you deeper. This doesn't mean you turn off compassion. It means you stop confusing compassion with destroying yourself. It means you learn to say, I see your pain, but I will not become it. It means you let people sit in the discomfort of their own reflection without rushing to dim your truth in order to ease their struggle. You will meet people who lash out instead of looking inward, who shame instead of share, who tear down instead of talk. It is not your duty to absorb every strike. It is not your obligation to defend your worth whenever someone else forgets their own. You are not here to be a dumping ground for emotions they refuse to face. Let them throw, let them spill, let them speak from places that don't even belong to this moment, but you remain rooted, Don't rise to match the storm. Stay steady in your stillness, because the moment you react, the moment you make their projection personal, you have given them the control. You told their wound it can command your peace. You let their story stain your spirit. Choose differently, not for them, but for you. Not everything that is thrown deserves to be caught. Sometimes the greatest act of grace is letting it drop, saying nothing, stepping forward, refusing to hold what does not belong in your hands. This is not cold. This is not cruel. This is clarity, and clarity will always serve you more than reaction. People will always throw, but your peace is not their playground and your soul is not their storage box. Protect it, guard it, honor it as sacred. Remember, what they throw speaks louder about what is breaking inside them than it ever will about you. They may arrive with raised voices and sharpened words wrapped in urgency and pride. They may send invitations to chaos disguised as simple conversations. Some may even swear it is love, say it is connection, say it is needed. But listen carefully. You are not required to attend every argument you are invited to. You are not required to enter every room that reeks of control or step into every battlefield someone drags into your peace. Just because someone craves a fight does not mean you must lace up your gloves. There is strength in choosing silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of wisdom. There is power in saying nothing when they want you to shout, in walking away when they want you shattered, in staying calm when they want you to crack. Most conflicts are not about truth. They are about control, about distraction, about someone needing to feel like they have won something, even if all they win is your irritation. Many people do not look for understanding. They look for validation of their pain, their opinions, their unchecked emotions. They want an opponent, not a partner. They want reaction, not resolution. That is the trap. They want to drag you into their storm so they do not sit in it alone. But your peace is not a gift you owe to anyone unwilling to find their own. There is no honor in draining yourself just to make someone else feel right. There is no trophy for getting the last word. There is no reward for staying in rooms that steal your joy. You have the right to leave when the tone shifts from truth to manipulation. You have the right to say this conversation no longer helps either of us. You have the right to defend your energy like the treasure it is, because it truly is. Every time you stay in a pointless argument just to prove a point, you trade peace for pride. Every time you raise your voice just to match theirs, you step down to the very level you tried to avoid. And slowly you begin to lose the most sacred part of yourself, your stillness, your clarity, your knowing of who you are beyond reaction. They may label you cold for stepping away. They may accuse you of avoiding things, of not caring. Let them. People addicted to conflict will always dislike your peace. People who only know connection through fighting will always feel deserted when you choose silence instead of struggle. But silence is not avoidance. It is mastery. It is refusing to shrink. It is knowing that not every fire is meant to be fought. Some flames must die on their own while you walk away untouched. There are people who will try to bait you whenever they feel powerless. Their questions are not real questions, they are traps. Their tone is not curious, it is combative. You owe them nothing, not your time, not your explanation, not your calm, especially not your calm. Because not everything deserves your reply. Not every voice that reaches you deserves your ear. It takes strength to speak up, yes, but it takes another kind of strength to stay centered while others spin around you. That strength does not break, does not bend, and does not fall into the mud every time someone else forgets how to stand tall. If you argue with a fool, anyone watching may not see the difference. If you argue with someone set on not listening, you have already lost. You cannot make someone understand you by shouting louder. No soul has ever been healed through humiliation. So stop stepping into wars just because you are invited. Let them wrestle with their own shadows without dragging you in. Let them toss their words into empty air. You are not their echo. You are not their sparring partner. You are not here to make their rage feel righteous. You are here to protect your light. And sometimes the strongest proof of power is not in what you say, but in what you no longer need to say. It is in silence. Not silence from weakness, but silence from growth. Some battles are won only by leaving. Some arguments are lost the moment you enter them. And some peace is preserved by remembering you do not have to join every fight you are invited to. Some invitations are best left unopened. It can happen so quickly. A word, a tone, a glance. Suddenly your chest tightens, your pulse speeds, your mind begins racing. You feel it rising, the heat in your throat, the storm in your belly, the sharp edge of... There are moments when emotions rise and demand to be let out. That is the moment right there, that small breath between calm and reaction, that tiny second before your spirit snaps like a dry stick under too much weight. That is the moment when you must choose to breathe. Not because breathing will erase everything, not because one breath will make the problem vanish, but because it returns your power before you hand it away. We are rarely taught to pause. We are taught to strike back, to argue, to defend, to guard our pride and our place. But what if real protection does not always look like reaction? What if true strength is being steady when provoked? What if the strongest skill you can ever master is learning to breathe before you break? That pause, that sacred breath, is your anchor in a world always trying to pull you out of yourself. It is the quiet space where wisdom speaks softly even when emotions scream loudly. It is the fine line between regretting words you said and being proud of what you decided not to say. We live in a time addicted to speed. Arguments explode before clarity can appear. Choices are demanded instantly. In that rush, words are spoken we can never take back. Decisions are made we later regret. Bridges are destroyed in the name of urgency. Yet most fires do not start from deep hate. They begin with heat, and heat can be cooled if we simply remember to breathe. When someone insults you, your first urge is to strike. When someone ignores you, your instinct is to raise your voice. When someone presses your buttons, you want to push back harder. That is the natural reflex. But breathing teaches you that you are not only a reflex, you are a response. And that difference changes everything. A reflex is instant, raw, emotional. A response is steady, mindful, intentional. The breath is what changes one into the other. The breath is where your soul whispers to your ego that it does not have to fight every battle. Take a breath before replying to that message. Take a breath before shouting. Take a breath before throwing back the pain they handed to you. Because often what you are about to say is not your truth, but your wound. Sometimes the sharpness in your words is just the echo of an old injury being touched again. Sometimes the anger you feel has little to do with that moment. It is the weight of years you never allowed yourself to release. But the breath knows better. The breath reminds you that you are not in danger. You are only in discomfort. And those two are not the same. You were taught to react because the world models that behavior. But you can unlearn it. You can train yourself to pause. You can train your body to know that not every rush of emotion means a battle must begin. You can train your mind that not every insult needs to be returned. You can train your spirit to remain grounded even when the world around you shakes. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Mastery is knowing when to speak and when to hold silence. Mastery is knowing when to defend and when to let go. Mastery is recognizing when the price of reaction is too heavy for the peace you have worked hard to protect. Breathe before you break, because you are not meant to be shattered by the chaos of life. You are meant to move through it with grace, even if it is not always easy. At times you will forget. You will yell. You will respond out of fire instead of calm. You will wish you had breathed instead of breaking. But every breath is a new start. Every pause is a practice. Every moment gives you another chance to choose differently. So when the anger rises, when the sadness climbs, when the hurt surfaces, do not run away from it. Face it, feel it, let it come to the top, but do not let it spill everywhere. Breathe into it. Hold yourself with the strength and softness that no one ever showed you. Because when you can breathe through the very moment that once broke you, you become unshakable. Not because you do not feel, but because you now know how to feel without falling apart. There is a quiet wisdom in restraint. It does not shine loudly. It does not need to shout. It does not storm or slam doors. It simply understands. It understands that not everything deserves your attention. Not every look, not every word, not every opinion thrown your way needs to be caught or answered, especially when the cost is your peace. Peace will not be handed to you like a gift. You build it through choice. You keep it through discipline. And the strongest discipline you may ever learn is refusing to react when people expect you to. The world throws bait at you every day. Words made to provoke, questions designed to corner you, moments built to shake you. And if you are not careful, you will spend your whole life flinching at shadows, trying to prove yourself to people who never wanted to understand you, and trading your stillness for hollow victories. Hearing something does not mean you must respond. You might hear lies, gossip, criticism, or blame. But just because it enters your ears does not mean it must leave your mouth. Not everything deserves your voice. Not every attack requires an answer. And not every person has earned the right to shake your peace. You do not need to be available to every energy that comes near you. Some people speak from wounds, not from truth. Some argue not to learn, but to control. And if you react each time someone tries to provoke you, you hand them your peace willingly. You say, "Take it, take my calm, take my joy, take my dignity," because you dared to challenge me. But why? Why give so much for so little? What if silence is not weakness but power? What if refusing to respond is the strongest choice in the room? What if holding your peace means you won a battle no one else even saw? They may call you cold, they may call you distant, but those who confuse peace with weakness do not know the war it takes to keep it. They do not see the thousands of battles you already fought to reach a place where you can choose peace instead of pettiness, where you can walk away without needing to explain, where you can hear your name twisted and still sleep calmly at night. That is not numbness. That is strength. Reaction is simple. Reaction is instant. But a mindful response, or even the decision not to respond, that is powerful. That is maturity. That is self-control. That is knowing yourself so deeply that no one else's opinion can shake it. Not everyone who argues with you deserves an explanation. Not everyone who mocks you deserves an answer. Not everyone who misunderstands you deserves correction. Sometimes the greatest act of self-care is choosing not to let a message ruin your day. Choosing not to let a careless driver on the road steal your peace. Choosing not to carry someone else's misery because they tried to dump it on you. Let them say what they say. Let them feel what they feel. You are not required to take what they dropped. You are not required to react to things beneath your spirit. Protect your peace like it is treasure. People will come and go carrying storms inside them. Do not let them build homes in your heart. Do not let them rearrange the furniture of your mind. Let them pass like storms, like waves, like background noise you do not need to hear. You are not bound to join every drama aimed at you. You do not have to raise your voice to prove your strength. You do not have to match disrespect with disrespect. You are allowed to choose grace, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You deserve to sleep without replaying arguments. You deserve mornings free of yesterday's weight. You deserve to live untouched by chaos others try to hand you. Not everything is worth a reaction, least of all your peace. Peace is not weakness. Peace is not a passive state. Peace is a guarded fortress. And when you learn that, truly learn that, you become untouchable. Not because life stops testing you, but because you stop letting it inside. The sting of insult is sharp. It lands suddenly, often when you are not ready, a word, a tone, a look designed to belittle or provoke. And the human instinct is to fight back, to protect your wound, to restore dignity with equal force. But in truth, most insults do not need your retaliation. They need your compassion, not for their sake, but for your own, because what someone says about you often reveals more about their pain than your flaws. Insults are born from lack, a lack of self-worth, a lack of peace, a lack of clarity. A person filled with respect for themselves does not insult. A person who is secure does not try to dim others. When someone attacks you with words, they are not showing strength. They are showing their pain. If you can see it this way, truly see it, you will not take the insult personally. You will see it as a cry from a heart struggling to survive. Compassion does not excuse disrespect. It lifts you above the need to match it. Pain often hides itself under pride and criticism. Instead of dancing with it, you can walk away free. When the pain comes, you decide to remain steady in grace. When someone throws a name at you, questions your value, mocks your decisions, pause for a moment. Look at them not with harsh judgment, but with gentle curiosity. What might they be carrying inside? What kind of day or even life must they be living to throw such darkness at another soul? Compassion is not weakness. It is not blind innocence. It is real strength. It takes far more courage to hold your balance when attacked than to lash out. It takes discipline to respond with kindness instead of pride. People throw insults for many reasons: to hide their own wounds, to feel in control, to grab attention, or to protect their fragile sense of self. But almost never is it actually about you. And when you understand this, you take your power back. You become the one who sets the tone, not just receives it. Let them stay angry. Let them stir the storm. You don't have to drink the poison they offer. Let their words drop to the floor like dry leaves. Let them pile up without touching your heart. That is what compassion gives you. Not freedom from pain, but freedom from reaction. It allows you to look someone in the eyes and say without speaking, "I see your hurt, and I will not add more to it." You can set a boundary without building a prison. You can walk away without slamming the door. You can be strong without being harsh. That is compassion in movement. When you show compassion in the face of insult, you remove the fuel from the fire. You refuse to give their storm more power. You take away the stage from their drama, and little by little, something shifts inside you. You begin to let go of the craving to always be understood, the need to be right, the urge to prove yourself again and again. You start realizing your worth was never in someone else's mouth. Compassion teaches you that true dignity does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it stays silent. Sometimes it only smiles and steps aside, And yes, you will be misunderstood. People will call you weak. They will say you let others walk over you, but let them speak. You are not alive to control their opinions. You are alive to guard your own integrity. There is a deep, calm peace that grows in you when you no longer allow someone else's cruelty to shape your character, when you can see them not as enemies, but as human beings, flawed, broken, wounded, acting out of their pain, trying to grasp control in a world that feels unstable. This does not mean you accept abuse. This does not mean you allow toxic cycles to continue, but it does mean you respond with clarity instead of battle. It means you can say, I won't fight you because I see you're already fighting within yourself. That type of compassion doesn't make you small. It makes you bigger than the insult, larger than the moment, stronger than the game they are trying to play. And maybe, just maybe, your compassion will serve as the mirror they never had. Maybe it will not change them, but it will change you, and that is more than enough. So next time someone throws words designed to hurt, stop, breathe, and remember what they say speaks of them, not of you. But how you answer speaks of you, and you are someone who chooses compassion, not because it is easy, but because it heals. There comes a moment in life when you feel tired, not from doing too much, but from carrying loads that were never yours. You get tired of explaining yourself to people who never cared to listen, tired of bending for those who only wish to break you, tired of dancing through flames just to prove you are still alive. And in that sacred tiredness, something pure begins to rise. The longing to detach, not in bitterness, but in wisdom, in strength, in peace. Peaceful detachment is not giving up. It is letting go. It is the moment you finally stop clinging to the rope that cuts your hand. It is the calm that comes when you no longer need to control the story, win the fight, or change the person. Detachment is not coldness or neglect. It is one of the warmest forms of self-love. It whispers, I no longer need to lose myself in order to keep you close. When you detach, you are not abandoning people. You are leaving behind the need to be trapped in their storms. You are stepping off the battlefield, not because you lost, but because the fight was never yours in the first place. You reclaim your mind, your hours, your emotional breath, because not every fire deserves your flame. Not every situation deserves your energy. We are trained to think caring means clinging, that love means holding on no matter what. But truth is, real strength is knowing when to release, when to free your heart from places that drain it, when to bless others on their path and not follow them into their storms. That is detachment, not apathy, but wisdom, not distance, but respect. When you reach peaceful detachment, you move differently. You no longer chase closure. You create it yourself. You stop replaying the perfect comeback in your head. You stop checking to see if they have changed. You stop letting their energy change your own. Instead, you stand quietly in your stillness. You walk at your own rhythm. You guard your spirit as sacred because it is. Detachment does not mean you stop feeling. It means you feel deeply, but you refuse to let those feelings control your actions. You allow yourself to see the mess without being dragged into it. You can sit in front of drama and not drink from its cup. You can hear the insult and let it pass through like air from an open window. You can know your worth so deeply that no one can auction it away. And yes, detachment will confuse people. Those who controlled you with guilt, chaos, or manipulation will not know this new you. They will call you cold. They will say you have changed, and they will be right. You have changed. You stop pouring your peace into every wound around you. You stop bleeding for those who never offered even a bandage. You chose serenity instead of survival. Peaceful detachment returns your power. Not the kind that controls others, but the kind that frees you. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop needing to be picked. You stop needing every loose end tied neatly, because you know not every broken bond is yours to repair. Sometimes peace means silence, not because you don't care, but because you finally do for yourself. It means leaving with a smile instead of staying with bitterness. It means letting the phone ring, letting the email sit, letting tension melt into nothing, simply because your joy is not negotiable anymore. You detach not because you are hard, but because you have grown gentle with yourself. You have learned that being present for every storm only leaves you soaked and shivering. You have learned people will drag you into their fire and then wonder why you're burning. You have learned that protecting your peace is the highest kind of maturity. There will always be noise. There will always be people trying to pull you back into the storm. But once you have tasted true peace, once you have felt what it means to be free from the endless tug of proving, fixing, pleasing, you will not trade it for anything. You will smile more. Speak less. Sit calmly in rooms that once filled you with anxiety. Watch old battles rage around you and feel nothing but gratitude that you are no longer inside them. That is what detachment gives you, not escape, but arrival, not disconnection, but alignment. To detach is to say, I see it, I honor it, but I no longer claim it as mine. And in that release, you rise steady, rooted, unmoved. That is the highest form of strength, not domination, not defense, but peace. Let them rage, let them mock, let them twist your name, laugh at your calm, sneer at your silence. That is their burden to carry, that is their path. You have outgrown the need to be bothered. There is a stillness inside you deeper than anger, a river of calm, ancient and wise, that does not rise for every stone thrown into it. Learn to live in that stillness, learn to speak from it, learn to love from it, because in that stillness no one owns you. In that stillness you are free.